Welcome back to Your Darts and thanks again for joining me. I want to see if you're learning your dart checkouts. Please join me. Okay, so in all transparency, this video testing you on the first dart indicators, what we've covered so far in this series, has been split into two. I had to do that for some reason, it just would not download into one. But the first video, we're going to go through the first dart indicators with lots of commentary, lots of info, breaking it down, and obviously including the tests at the same time. The next video I shall release will be very shortly afterwards, and it's just including just the test. If you don't want to hear any of the commentary and you just want to quickly test your skills on the first dart indicators, or certainly the two dart finishers. Okay, let's see how we get on with that. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today. I want to give you a little test, back to school, okay, just to see if you're learning your two dart finishes and show you the relevance of why we need to learn them. Now, this is all about practicing what we've done in this series so far, covering the first dart indicators. Now, if you've not seen my videos, first dart indicators are just what I've named when the finish itself gives you a good clue, an indication of what the opening treble is going to be, okay? Now, if you don't need this help, it's not for you. Great, but I know there's people out there that this will help. It certainly helped me. Okay, and let's just jump into this example. Okay, so you're going to get 3 seconds and you're going to get a little buzz, and then this will come up. Okay, now let me explain before we go any further. So the first dart indicator is indicated by this furthest right digit, in this case 2. Okay, but it's not going to be, so it's going to indicate your treble, right? But it's not going to be treble 2 because that's 6. It's not good for anyone, right? You just have to use your brain a little bit, put a 1 on in the bit before it, treble 12. It's as simple as that. A little bit of help, a little bit of practice rather, and you'll get that really quickly. And you'll see it in action as we go through the actual the test. But treble 12. Now it's all about then learning what your final double will be, and there's loads of ways to do that. But the finish here is treble 12, double 18. Now with all these first dart indicators, what we're going to cover today in the test is how the pros will mostly go. They probably don't call them first dart indicators. This is very much a me thing, okay? I don't think it's used for sure. I thought I made it up. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't, I don't know. But now, as it goes, 72 is probably the way only few pros will go, okay? If you're an 18s player, like Rob Cross, I've seen him go treble 12, double 18 for 72, but most people will go treble 16, double 12. That's a very common way for 72, okay? And feel free to do that. Again, this is just giving you tools to learn your dart finishes. Okay, the more dart finishes you know for each number, the more complete player you'll be, I guess, okay? But for me, I like to go, and I started to go treble 16, double 12. That's how I started when I first started doing this silly game of darts. It's a wonderful game of darts. But treble 12, double 18. So it's all about how do you remember double 18. Now, 12 and 18, they add up to 30. That might help some people, okay? And as we go through the actual finishes and the examples in the test, I will talk you through it, how I learn it, other options, what other people do, just as much information as I can, just to help those out there who need that help. Okay, remember these videos are for people trying to learn how to check out in your head, whether you've been playing for years or just started the game of darts. Okay, so in this case, treble, so 72 is treble 12, double 18. Now the way I remember it, if I can remember something with what I like to call a link, a picture, a silly, don't have to use my pictures, it can be anything what gives you instant recall. That's all it's what it's about. Okay, so treble 12, double 18, I remember it because they're across from each other on a dartboard. 12 and 18, they mirror each other, don't they? There's only 3 slots in between, and that's again silly, no reason that would help me, but it does. Wait, now it doesn't, because I know the finish. This is all about understanding how to get into your mental Rolodex these finishes so you instantly know it. Okay, now the other thing, so as you see, I'll say 72, you get 3 seconds. It would be treble 12, double 18. Now I want you to include the misrule, the misrule, yeah. What is the misrule? Oh, yeah, that's a clue there. What is the misrule? So the misrule is just another, we do this automatically. I just think it's so important that it deserves a title. This is why I've called it the misrule. When we're going for the treble, in this case treble 12, We need to know what, of course, what the finish is going to be, but almost as important, we need to know what it will be if we miss the treble and hit the big number. That's what I call the miss roll. So missing treble 12, hitting big 12, missing treble 20, hitting big 20, okay, missing treble 17, hitting big 17. Of course, we can go either side and hit anything on this crazy game, but you can't practice for every eventuality, okay? So this is how I'd expect this to go. So I would say 72, get 3 seconds, you're going to go treble 12, double 18. Okay, your first start should be really easy. Okay, going this principle of the miss rule, but I'll show you as we get going. So treble 12, double 18. If you hit single 12, you leave 60. Okay, that's all I expect you to do. All right, I've just added the miss rule there, missing the 12, treble 12, hitting the big 12. Of course, I've just taken 12 off 72 and it really leaves 60. I'm being as thorough as I can for people who struggle. Okay, or brand new. You know, it's easy when you know how, but when you don't, this can be a very hard game to do. But what I want to do before we even go into this, just bear with me here. I want to show you why these 2 dart finishes are absolutely vital. The most important place to start when you're learning these dart checkouts. Okay, let's just go back a few steps. So imagine you stood there and you've got 1, 3, 2. Okay, and I've said before, you never need to learn 1, 3, 2. Okay, now if you've not heard me say that, it's quite a big statement, right? All you need to do is recognize what treble you're going to throw at, and for these big 3-digit numbers, treble 20 is certainly a good place to start, and it is a good place to stay if you want to. I mean, there's times when treble 19 can be good and other trebles, but treble 20 is a great place to start. And I've said before, when we just have to know what treble we are starting with, okay, and the formula that I've shared with you in the past, I'm going to do it right now as a little recap. So I'm stood there at 1, 3, 2. I know I'm going to throw a treble 20, and whenever we throw a treble 20 onto any 3-digit number, we're visualizing 40 onto these last 2 digits. Okay, so I've hit my treble 20, I've put 40 onto 32 in my mind, okay, and I've revealed 72. Okay, now the thing to remember here with 72, if you've got the perfect line, that treble 20, okay, and it's not blocked the bed and you're feeling good and you're hitting that, then be under no illusion, with 72 left, you can go treble 20 again for double 6. Okay, so treble 20, double 6. A lot of people will go that way when you've got these big 3-digit numbers, but there's times when you just need to know, obviously you need to know how to take out 72, and this is what this test is all about, and all these other 2 dart finishes. But say even if you were stood there and you had 1, 3, 3 rather, and you're going to throw a treble 20, so I'm visualizing 40 onto 33, 73. Okay, now it's an odd number, so I don't have the privilege of going for treble 20 again. Okay, I hit my treble 20, I've left 73. Okay, how do we take out 73? So that's why you need to learn your 2 dart finishes. Okay, now if you've not seen any of my videos before and you haven't learned your 2 dart finishes, this test, if you just go away and learn this test, just repeat it until you know it, then you will know your 2 dart finishes. Some of them, not all of them. I've only covered the first dart indicators because not all 2 dart finishes are ran by this first dart indicator. Now let's talk about which ones are. Okay, so we talk about the principles of a first dart indicator, but which of the 2 dart finishes are first dart indicators? Let's get into that right now. Okay, so we've got some samples of my crib sheet. I've just kind of cut and pasted on here, and we're going to get into more about my crib sheet. We started this series talking about my crib sheet, and then we've kind of gone off on a tangent because that's me. But there's so much to learn in dart, so I like to mix it up a little bit. But anyway, so we have, as you can see, so in the 60 range, I set for number 60, okay, which is a single 20 double top. All the 60 numbers are first dart indicators, as you can see. Okay, so 63, treble 13. Okay, remember it's not treble 3. Yeah, I need to put a 1 in front of it. But 66, treble 16. Okay, 68, treble 18. Okay, so when we do the test in a moment or two, the first thing you're going to say is dead easy. Okay, it's indicated by this by the number itself, hence the first indicator. Okay, but as you can see, all the numbers, even 70. Now I've included 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, anything with a 0 on, you can throw treble 20. So I've included that as like a first indicator. Okay, and as you can see in the 70 range, okay, here, 71 isn't, 73 isn't, and 77. We go different ways for that, which we're going to get into probably in the next video. But the rest, 72, and as you can see, they're all highlighted in this kind of pink color. So all the 60 range are first out indicators. Most of the 70 range are first out indicators, okay? And when we get into the 80 range, we've got like 3 in the 80 range. And I'm going to promote, now I've not written on here, now in the 90 range, I've only got one, being 90, of course, treble 20, double 15. But I'm going to include 95, because you stood there 95. I think most people, the reason why I didn't, I think most people will go treble 19, double 19, but 95 can be treble, let's face it, not treble 5, it's going to be treble 15 for bullseye. You can absolutely do that. So I am promoting 95, so on my crib sheet, which I am considering releasing. I keep getting a few messages asking if I'm going to release it. I'm just I'm considering it. I'm just tweaking. Keep tweaking, always tweaking. But so I will be adding that to the list because I think it's a valid first out indicator. But as you can see here, 100 and 110, they all start with treble 20, so they're included on my first out indicator list. But as you can see, even if this is, so of course the principle of first out indicators are easy to work out. Concept I think is very good, but it's like, how do I know which of the finishes are first out indicators? Well, you can see it here, can't you? All the 60s, most of the 70s, and even if you just use it for those, then you've got a real helping hand of these finishes that always come up when you're playing darts. Okay, so that kind of like sums up that. Hope you can see that. So on to the test at hand. But before we get into that, I just want to thank everyone who has subscribed. And if you get anything from this and you haven't subscribed, please consider doing it. Please consider liking, sharing, all that stuff here. If you know someone who can help maybe benefit from this, maybe you're not at this level, you've gone past this level and you can do the finishes, but you know some mates who can't and you think this could be helpful for them, please share it to them, tell them about the website. I'm only asking, so I don't care about the numbers here, but if you don't tickle this YouTube algorithm, when someone's typing in how to improve, someone's wanting to improve the dart checkouts, my videos will come up. And I don't want to deprive people of that. No, I just think it's going to help you. Okay, so if you consider doing that, I'd really appreciate it. Now let's get on with the test. You can't avoid. I'm not avoiding it anymore. Let's do it. Remember, you're going to get 3 seconds to answer it, and don't forget the miss rule. Let's do it. Number 64. Okay, so 64 is the first out indicator. We're going to this right digit. Number 4, it's not going to be treble 4, it's going to be treble 14. Don't forget to stick that 1 behind it, okay? That's the only thing you've got to do there. So treble 14, double 11. Now, how I remember this, if you want to, because in the 60 range, they add up to the 14 and 11, add up to 25. I know some people do that. It doesn't work for me. I try and find a little picture. I call it a link. Anything what gives me instant feedback. And for me, they're right next to each other, 14 and 11, okay? That's how I remembered it. Now, don't forget the miss rule. Aiming at treble 14. You're going to miss treble 14 more times than you hit it. Hopefully hit the big 14. You could hit anything here. But hitting the big 14 or the single 14 leaves you 50. So you can either set up your finish or you can go for glory and hit that bullseye. Number 76. So that's treble 16, okay, indicated by this 6 here, okay, treble 16. Double 14, treble 16, double 14. Now, how do we remember this? So the first that's easy. How do you remember the double? Well, there's a few ways to do it. I just remember it that it's the next even number down, which might sound silly, but that's all I needed to. The numbers add up to 30, if that helps you, 16 and 14. Sometimes these you just have to repeat and just do them parrot fashion. But the reason why I recommend going treble 16, double 14 is to get to below 70. Because if with 76, commonly people might go treble 20, double 8, and that's fine if you're a pro and you're really good at hitting that top center of the board, the 20, which is quite hard when you're first starting out, believe it or not, and it's quite common to hit the 5 and 1. And if you hit the 5 and 1 and you're on 76, you don't get to below 70. The reason why it's a good idea to get to below 70 if you possibly can on that first dart, you should at least get a shot out at bullseye, okay? So you must always think about that. That's if you've got 3 darts, of course, but you must always think about that. But there's loads of ways to go for 76, but that's not what this video is about. It's about talking about the first out indicator. So 76 is treble 16, double 14. Hitting the big 16 leaves 60. And that's another reason why I like to go for these first out indicators, because it leaves big round numbers like 60, 70, 50, okay? And 60 is just easy to work out in your head, isn't it? but that's number 76. Number 85. So that's treble 15, okay. Double 20, so treble 15, double 20. Now, how do you remember this? Sometimes the numbers of the dartboard should help you here, okay. You need to learn your treble values, especially of the main numbers that we throw for, okay, and treble 15 is one of them. If you know that treble 15 is 45 and you have a number 85, it's quite easy to see that you're needing the 40 to make it 85. Treble 15 is 45, you need another 40 to make it 85. It's easy to see you need double 20, isn't it? So treble 15, double 20. If you hit single 15, it leaves 70. Number 67. So treble 17, double 8. First dart's easy because it's indicated by this first dart indicator. So treble 17 for double 8. Okay. How you remember that? Well, you know, 17 and 8 adds up to 25. Again, you can do it like that. I try and use a link. It's a bit more poor, this link. It's not really a great picture, but I see a 7 and 8. Okay, just running up. But really, I didn't have to really put that in my head straight away. For that long, rather, a little bit of practice, and I got it quite easy. Okay, treble 17, double 8. So even if you just have to repeat that one. But that's how you remember 67, hitting the big, and also the misrule, so hitting the big 17 or the single 17 leaves you 50. Okay. 87. Treble 17. Okay. Double 18. And I remember the double because the first dart's really easy, isn't it? Indicated by this number here. But I remember the double because it's just 17 and 18. They run up in numbers. And a little bit of practice, you get there really quick. Hitting the big 17, so the misrule, hitting that big 17, missing the treble, then you will leave 70. Number 61. Nice and easy one, this one. Treble 11 as indicated by the 1. Okay, of course it's not going to be treble 1, don't be silly people. Treble 11 and then double 14. Okay, how do I remember it? I use a link. Of course they add up to 25 if that helps you. 11 and 14. I know some people do that, but they're right next to each other, and that's a good enough link for me. Hitting the single 11, as we will commonly do, will leave you 50. So you can either go for bullseye or set up your shot, can't you? 90. Okay, so there's other ways to go for 90, but this is for about first dart indicator. And if it's a 0, it can be treble 20. Okay, so treble 20, double 15. All right. And again, the numbers really help you here, knowing the treble values. You know that's 60. Quite easy to realize you need 30 more to make it 90. So of course it's your double 15. That's how I remember that one. Hitting the single 20 leaves you 70. Never forget your misrule. Number 69. Okay, so first dart's treble 19. And it is double 6. Now how do I remember that? I shouldn't say we, because it's only really what I do. I just see this as a clock face and it's 1/4 the hour. I think a lot of people would go 19 and 6 is 25, but again that doesn't work for me, so hopefully you can help with that. Hitting the big 19, of course, so the misrule you would leave 50, as with all the 60 range numbers you'd leave 50. Number 79. Okay, so the first dart's easy because we just go, it's the first dart indicator, so it's treble 19. Okay, and double 11. A bit of an awkward double, I guess, even though I do like double 11. And there are other ways to take out 79, but that is a very common way you'll see people go for. Players certainly will go for that. Now, how do you remember that? So, thing to remember, when in the 60 range numbers, okay, when we're doing the 60 range numbers, the two numbers add up to 25. When we're doing the 70 range numbers, 19 11, they add up to 30. Okay. And there's a pattern through the 60 range numbers and the 70 range numbers. But for me, if I'm standing there and if I'm doing that and I'm going, okay, 19, now what number do I need to add up to 30? Even though it's quite easy to see on this example, but that's just not what I want. So again, I'm going to try a little link. So to get it into my head when I was first learning 79, all I was thinking was similar to the last number we did, but instead of quarter past the hour where we did it for 69, for 79, I'm just thinking maybe quarter to the hour. But because the more and more you do these little pictures, the less it sticks in your head, so you know it. You don't. Right now, when I stay at 79, I'm not thinking quarter to the hour. I just did that initially to get the double in mind. I now know what 79 is, right? Just treble 19, double 11. Anyway, the misroll on that one. So missing the treble 19, hitting the big 19 will leave you 60. 95. Okay, here's to the newly promoted 95. Treble 15. Remember, not treble 5. You always got to put a 1 before it. Treble 15 for your bullseye. I think a lot of people will go treble 19, double 19, but you can really do this if you want to. Say you love bullseye, and it's also a bit of a showstopper, isn't it? If you can finish on the rock star finish of a bullseye. But treble 15. Bullseye. If you hit the single 15, it will leave you 80 to take out. 65. Okay, hopefully you're getting the idea now. So treble 15. Remember, all the 60 range numbers except for number 60 are first dart indicators. So treble 15 for double 10. Now, how do I remember this? Yes, they do both add up to 25, so 15 and 10 add up to 25, but I use a link and they are right next to each other, so it's really easy to see it. So treble 15, double 10. Hitting the big 15 or the single 15 leaves you 50. 70. So treble 20, anything with a 0 on, you can throw for treble 20. Okay, I promoted that to a first dart indicator. Treble 20, double 5. So if you've got, there's all the ways to take out 70 if you've got 3 darts, okay? But if you've hit your treble, you've left 70, or you've got 2 darts at 70, treble 20, double 5 is how you should go, okay? Again, you don't really need any help to remember that. As long as you know treble 20 is 60, it's easy to know you need 10 more, so double 5, okay, to make it 70. Now, if we hit, the reason why we do that, because we've got 2 darts, we miss this misrule indicates why we should do it, because we missed treble 20, hit the big 20, the misrule, it leaves you 50. That's shot out at bullseye. 75. So treble 15. Okay, 4 double 15. Now I used to go different ways for this, but I absolutely love going treble 15, double 15. For 75, I believe someone messaged in and said that's the best way to go, and I absolutely agree with them. And the misroll, how do you remember it? Well, it's all the 15s. That's kind of, a way to think about it. And also, know your treble values. That does help you as well. But treble 15, double 15, hitting the big 15 leaves you 60. Okay, that's why I like these first dart indicators. Not only do they help you with the first dart, but they always leave a really clean number, like a 60, 70, 80. Okay, but that's number 75. 62. So treble 12, and as with all, I keep reminding you, so it goes in, but all the 60 range numbers, they are first dart indicators. Okay, so treble 12, double 13. Now this is the only one where it's a bit odd. Double 13. I remember it because it goes up in numbers 12 and 13. Of course, they add up to 25. You can do that. All the 60 range numbers add up to 25, 12 and 13, as you can see. But so however you remember it, yes, double 13 is a rubbish double, but again, the misrule will come into play here. We miss the treble more times than we hit the double. Let's start all over again. We will hit the big number more times than we hit the treble. Okay, so in this case, we're going to be hitting treble 12, missing treble 12, hitting big 12, and that leaves you 50. All right, and that's number 62. Finally, 100. So treble 20, as I've mentioned, if it's got a 0 on the end, you can throw a treble 20 in this rule of first start indicators in my rules. Okay, so treble 20, and you need double 20. It's just know your values, and that what's what help you remember that. Treble 20, double 20. Hitting the big 20 leaves you 80. Nice and easy, that one. 66. Okay, so the first start's treble 16. Easy to see that because of the 6, of course, not treble 6, but treble 16. And double 9. Okay, then this was a bit odd for me when I first started. How do I remember that? And I've mentioned this before, even though it might sound really silly. I just literally, I didn't do the adding where 16 and 9 is 25. I didn't do any of that. I just literally, it sounds really silly, but I took the 6 and I put it upside down to a 9, and my brain instantly flicked, oh, double 9. That's just how my brain works. If it helps you, it doesn't. If it helps, great. If it doesn't, just discard it and just learn it parrot fashion. But missing the big treble 6, missing the treble 16, hitting the big 16 leaves you 50. So take it out like a rock star. Bullseye. 78. Okay, so the first start easy. It's 8, so it's treble 18. Okay. 4, double 12. And I just remember them because they're just across from each other. But you can go 18 and 12 is 25 if you want to do that. Not 25, 30 rather. Get my math right. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm doing. But treble 18 and double 12, they're just across from each other. That's how I remember it. Adjacent on the dartboard. If you hit the big 18, so the miss rule coming into play, missing that treble, hitting the big number, you leave 60. A nice easy number to work out in your head. And good luck at hitting it. Single 20. Whenever you're going for a single 20, just think about aiming high, or you will hit that treble 20. Don't do that. 110. So believe it or not, 110, even though it's a big number, you can take it out in 2 darts, and it's a 0, so you can throw a treble 20. Okay, so treble 20, bullseye. It's what's left over when we're going for the big fish, right? 170. So you stood there, you throw in treble 20. Remember the rule for that? You just visualize 40 onto the last 2 digits, so 40 onto 70, and you've got your 110. And that's why it's treble 20 bullseye, isn't it? For 170. But in this case, we've got 110. We're throwing out that treble 20, and then we're throwing a bullseye. Missing the treble 20, hitting the big 20 leaves you 90. Get that right. And then you take out 90, or at least set that up. 68. So 68 is treble 18, indicated by the 8 there. So not treble 8, but treble 18. And it's double 7. Now, how I remember this, if you want to, because in the 60 range numbers they add up to 25, 18 and 7. But I like a link, as you might have picked up. And that's a picture. And if you look at this as a wheel, and these are spokes, it's on the end of the same spoke, isn't it? 18 and 7. Okay, it's treble 18, double 7. A really silly picture to think in your head, but trust me, if you can't get 68, you don't understand it, and you realise it's a first start indicator, as all these 60 range numbers are. Treble 18, just look down at the bottom part of it, double 7, and it's really, really easy to visualise. Hitting the big 18 leaves you 50, so you can set up 50 or chuck it out and hit that bullseye and finish like a rock star. 74. So it's treble 14 for double 16, and again I remember it just because it runs up in in even numbers rather 14 and 16. I also remembered it just because I'm throwing that. I don't often throw for 16s now. I do, but I'm more of a 20s 10 guy. So this I just have remembered it because I'm throwing out the most common double, or certainly one of the most common doubles out there. A little bit out of my comfort zone, and just anything new to stick in my head, and it helped me remember it. Treble 14, double 16. It really helped. Of course, missing the miss rule, missing the 14, missing the treble 14 rather, hitting the big 14 leaves you 60. There's a bit of a pattern here, I'm sure you've seen. 89. Okay, so it's treble 19, as indicated by the first indicator. for double 16. Now, it's just a little harder to remember that this is a first out indicator, because as you have mentioned, all the 60 range numbers are first out indicators, most of the 70 range numbers, and I think there's only 3 in the 80 what works, and even less, I think there's 2 in the 90. So the 80s and 90s are harder to realize, because you've got to remember, is that a first out indicator? It's all very well using the furthest right digit here to help you remember the first treble, but does it actually work for the number? So you have to just do a little bit of homework there, a little bit of practice, but it's quite easy. So it's treble 19, double 16. I just remember the double because it's, double 16, a big double, isn't it? It's just one of those things. I'll kind of like repeat it, practice it a few times, and you will get it. Missing the treble 19, hitting the big 19 leaves you 70. Okay, easy-ish. 80. So single, so it's a treble 20 because it's a 0. I mentioned before, if it's a 0, just throw a treble 20. Treble 20, double 10. Again, the number values help you here. That should be a treble 20, of course, you get the idea. Treble 20 is 60, you need 20 more to make it 80. So it's treble 20, double 10. Hitting the big or the single 20 leaves you 60. So to the final number of the day, number 63. Okay, so it's treble 13. It's not going to be treble 3 because that doesn't help anyone. So treble 13 and it's double 12. Now, they do add up to 25, like all the numbers, all the 2 dot finishes in the 60 range, they do add up to 25. But I like a little link, and for me, they just run down in numbers 13 and 12. Silly enough for me to remember and give me instant recall, and that's what it's all about, instant recall. Missing that treble 13, hitting the big 13 leaves me 50, as with all the 60 range numbers except for number 60. Okay, so a couple of final thoughts here. I just want to be clear on this point here. I'm not too sure I was, but if you're in having a 60 range, a 2-digit 60 range number, let's just choose for example 64. So we're going to be going first out indicator, goes off this number here, so treble 14, okay, for double 11, okay. So 14 and 11, they both add up to 25. So if that's what you want to do, and you stood there and you're going, okay, that's 14 and I need 11 to make 25, and that helps you, that's great. I know some people do it like that. Doesn't really work for me, but by all means, whatever helps. And the 70 range numbers, for example, 72. So it will be treble 12 as the first out indicator, okay? Treble 12, double 18. So in the 70 range, 12 and 18, they add up to 30. So it goes up by 5, adds up to 30. And in the 80 range, if you're doing, like, for instance, 85, treble 15, double 20, they add up to 35. Okay, so any little things like that, if that just helps you get instant recall, that's really good. I just wanted to clarify and make sure I got that across. Thank you. Okay, so coming next time, I'm going to get back to my crib sheet, my checkout sheet, show you how that can help you with your Dart journey. Okay, and I'm going to consider releasing this sheet. I'm just making little tweaks. But thanks so much for people who are watching. I really do appreciate it. Take care for now. I'll see you next time.